For a little while I've been interested in kombucha, and this is one of the bottles. Pretty much most of them are the same brand, and it's very expensive. So a bottle like this is around $4 a bottle, and that seemed a little bit expensive for my taste, so I decided to get started making my own, and this is a little bit of the results of that process. I've made a couple of batches, and this batch over here is the most recent one. It was started a few weeks ago and seems to be going just fine. And so let me show this process a little bit. This thing floating on the top here is a mushroom, and it's called a SCOBY. And before doing this, I cleaned my hands pretty good and sterilized the tools that I'm using by boiling them in water, and washed all the dishes real carefully and stuff like that, because I don't want to get any contamination. So this thing here is a mushroom. It's called a SCOBY. I'm gonna see if I can grab this guy and pull it out. It's amazingly tough. It's a tough little guy. Apparently this stuff gets used, or got used, during World War I in Russia as leather. It is really tough stuff. The Russians ran out of leather for their shoes, so they had to grow their own. This one here is one that I hacked off a piece a few weeks ago to give to a friend of mine so that he could make some for his own batch. And that's a pretty substantial piece of mushroom there. This here is probably September, probably 2 or 3 months old. And so those will be used to start another batch. And what I will do is I'm going to pour this into these bottles over here, and I'm going to use this big bowl here as a catch basin. And in the bottle here, basically it's tea mixed with sugar that has been sitting with a little bit of a starter culture. So I'm going to pour this off, and when you make the tea, you take a bunch of water and you boil it up. There's one bottle, and you mix in some sugar, and I've been liking brown sugar for this process, and it seems like the brown sugar's got lots of other flavors and good stuff going on in it. There we go. And it definitely has a vinegar smell to it when it's in the kitchen. And what happens is the tea sits there, and over a couple of weeks the mushroom eats the sugar in the tea and ferments, and it smells a lot like vinegar when it's getting close to being done. At least that's my experience. Okay, so there's a little bit of stuff at the bottom of the container, and most of that I'm going to throw out, but a little bit of it I'm going to use to start the next batch. And so there's 3 bottles from this half-gallon container, and then we have this fresh bottle, and this bottle here I also cleaned at the same time, got everything nice and clean and ready to go. So this is a gallon bottle, so I'm going from a half gallon, this one here, to a full gallon. And this one here took not too long. It took a couple of weeks to get going. And I started it fresh from one of these bottles. Basically, I just took one of these bottles of commercial kombucha and started it along with the tea and the sugar. So basically black tea and brown sugar, and started those. Got it started with the SCOBY, the mushroom here, and let it sit for a couple of weeks. And the first one took a while. The next one took less time. This is the third cycle for this culture. So I'm going to pour this in, and I mixed this batch of tea up the other day, and when I mixed this batch of tea up, I let it sit overnight and let it really cool down. Let's get that last little bit of water in there, tea mix. And so I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to try and bring the level up to here. I'm also going to drop this mushroom culture in here. And drop that one in. And we'll drop this one in. And they can sit there and float away. And I got to top off the thing. This one here has still got a little bit too much of the bottom stuff mixed in there, so I'm going to take this one and I'm going to pour some of this in to kind of top it off. And I want to get it so that it's up to about the level